You are listening to Right Off the Bus.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 27 of Right Off the Bus. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Chandler Hutchison, and I'm here by myself today. Unfortunately, Pat is still on vacation. Unfortunate for me, not for him. But I had a wonderful co-host and Joe Hagan on last week, but I figured, when I was on vacation a little over a month ago, now, it seems crazy it was that long. Pat did a solo episode, so I wanted to get one in as well, see how I did. I haven't done anything like this since college radio station at WSKB, doing some 2-hour shows by myself. So this is going to be interesting. I hope that I can keep the flow. I hope I can keep it moving. Episode's probably going to be a little bit shorter than normal, but I appreciate you guys rocking with me anyways. As we like to do a little casual intro. So, I'm working crazy hours right now. No complaints though. Got a couple coworkers on vacation doing their thing. But I just got July 4th off. I was working some OT hours, so they wanted to give me the day off, which is unbelievable. Very thankful for that. You know, Excited to go down. I'm headed down to Plymouth, gonna party a little bit with some friends and family, and getting excited for that. Man, this heat's been crazy lately. I hope we get good weather for the 4th. I haven't really checked yet, but I've been trying to get my mileage back up. I haven't been posting and talking about my running enough. I've still been running every day, except when I was out in Yosemite. But I got to tell you, I'm excited to get my mileage up. This heat's hard to do it in. So, slow and steady there. Applying for jobs as always, hopefully get a couple leads going, but, nothing too excited going on for me. Now we're going to get into the show, get some headlines rolling. So, I texted Pat before the show and said, hey, anything you want me to talk about, anything you want me to cover. And, Pat was texting me about this the other day. So, yeah, this little headlines for Pat. NCAA baseball. You know how Pat and I love the NCAA. They decided to end NC State season in the College World Series, their playoffs, with a 2 a.m. tweet saying that they're sending them home for health and safety protocols. If you're just listening on audio, you can't see those air quotes I decided to throw in there. So they let NC State play the day before with a bunch of fans. But then, the health and safety concerns, COVID protocols, blah, 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 shut it down. Then the next day, NCAA is tweeting out, "Oh, our attendance 21,000 people. Look at how great this is." After ending these kids' entire year of work, dedication, blood, sweat, tears, all the above, this is what they had been working for. You send them home, and then the next day you're bragging about your attendance numbers. Man, this was sad. Pat and I were joking around. Who's worse, Rob Manfred with the MLB or the NCAA with baseball? And of course it's the NCAA just because of, all the horrible things they do. And, I'm not going to act like it's not hard to govern 20 something sports. And I'm making that number up. I don't know how many it actually is, but man, this is just such a poor look, totally tone deaf by the NCAA. I just feel so bad for these kids. You think about the, people that got their senior year ripped away because of COVID and their last year of athletics, man, these kids thought that they were past that. They missed their whole junior year to get this, and now they're sent home. This is sad. Horrible look on NCAA, but unfortunately, not too surprising. Next headline, real quick. Scottie Pippen's talking crazy lately, man. He's saying all this whack stuff. He was talking about how Kevin Durant's not a team player and Brooklyn don't play team basketball, when he doesn't have his two co-stars and the rest of the team isn't doing anything. But then he goes on the Dan Patrick show. He says Phil Jackson's racist because he drew up a play for Tony Kukoc instead of him. I mean, yeah, no, he never drew up a play for Kobe, Shaq, Michael Jordan, no one else. Coached in Mexico. All these players love him and say that he's the best mentor ever with all of his spiritual things and respect for other cultures and bringing Native American culture and customs and all this different stuff in, man. Pippen, honestly, I thought he was drunk with that 4.5 minute clip I saw of him on the Dan Patrick show. Then he says that when Steve Kerr hit that shot against the Jazz in game 1 of the I forget what finals it was. I think it was 98. He was saying, oh, well, Michael only said that he was going to pass it to Steve for the cameras. You got to know with the cameras on, that you're not saying what's actually going on. And it's like, it was kind of manic. It was hard to listen to. It was a tough 4 minutes to get through. And Scotty's talking crazy, but honestly, at the end of it, I was just thinking, man, prayers up to Scotty because I know there's been all these problems with his ex-wife. He's talking all this crazy stuff. And, prayers out to Scotty. I hope that he's okay. I don't really know what's going on, but man, you're a GOAT. You're one of the top 50 players ever. You're one of the best at your position ever. You kind of revolutionized your position into the point forward. I don't know why he's going on all these crazy tangents, but I hope everything's all good with Scotty. He's still a GOAT, still a legend. So see what happens with Scottie Pippen in the next couple weeks. I have a feeling we're not done hearing from him quite yet. Moving on to a little bit more of some good news. Mia Hamm, obviously one of the greatest female soccer players ever, U.S. women's team legend, married to Nomar Garcia Parra, by the way, Red Sox legend. Her rookie card sold for $34,440. This is the record for any women's sports card ever. This is pretty cool, especially since it's soccer. Mia Hamm's an absolute legend, just represented our country as well as anyone could on the international stage in performance and grace and all the above. So shout out Mia Hamm for that. Next headline, Demaryius Thomas retirement. Played for the Broncos for 10 years, kind of bounced around, couldn't really figure it out after that, health issues. But I'll always remember Demaryius Thomas as being the best receiver on those crazy Denver Broncos teams when Peyton Manning came for those couple years, broke Tom Brady's touchdown record, 55 touchdowns, because he had Demaryius Thomas, Wes Welker, Eric Decker, Julius Thomas. And man, I'll tell you, Demaryius Thomas was the best one on that receiving corps. Shout out to Demaryius Thomas for a wonderful career. I hope you enjoy your retirement, my man. Last headline before we dive into the NBA, even though it's NBA, not going to spend a bunch of time on it. Chauncey Billups hired as the new Clippers head coach, Clippers assistant, obviously Mr. Big Shot, Chauncey Billups, Detroit Pistons legend, should be an NBA Hall of Famer. I don't know if he is. Has he been retired long enough? I'm sure he has, but absolutely love Chauncey Billups. Love that he's getting this opportunity. When you think about a guy like Dame, we always talk about Dame time. I mean, Chauncey Billups played a very similar game, more defense, more physical, but played a very similar game. His name is Mr. Big Shot, man, and that's what Dame's all about. So hopefully Chauncey Billups can go take a look at that locker room and make some changes and hopefully lead Portland to some more success. Now, moving on, we're going to get into the NBA conference finals. A little ball don't lie. We love talking basketball on this podcast. So the Bucks are in Atlanta for game 4 tonight while I'm recording. This episode's coming out tomorrow morning. And I got to tell you, the Bucks are up 2-1. When Joe and I recorded this last week, no games had been played in this series yet. And I'll tell you, that first game, Trae Young shocked the world, 48 points, 7 rebounds, and 11 assists. I got to tell you, that's what it's taken this Hawks team to beat this Bucks team, because now the Bucks, they're up 2-1. They won game 2. They won game 3 in Atlanta. If they win game 4 in Atlanta, the series is a wrap. I had predicted that this was going to be a 5-game series. I thought that Trae would be good enough to get one, and he did. And I mean, it took a Herculean effort from Trae, and I got to tell you, it was unbelievable to watch. But I will say too, that game, watching that and reflecting on it after, I had said on the podcast right before, Trae Young's the best Hawk ever. I already believe it. I'm already into it. It's only year 3. Sorry, Bob Pettit. Sorry, Dominique Wilkins, and no one else should even be in the conversation, honestly. But that game was transcendent. That game was all time. And I mean, let's remember, this is the conference finals. This Hawks team, I mean, who thought they would be here? Dominique Wilkins never got to a conference finals. This is unbelievable. I'll tell you, that game really, really, really reminded me of Jason Tatum dropping 50 against the Brooklyn Nets, because that was the only way that they could win a game. The only way I said they could win a game is a Herculean effort from Trae. And that's what happened. I think the Bucks win game 4 in Atlanta. I think that they win game 5 back in Milwaukee. And I think that they are eventually, going to the NBA championship, which I'm excited to see. Now, I will say one thing out of this series, my respect for Trae Young has gone through the roof. My respect for Nate McMillan, the interim head coach for the Atlanta Hawks, he better get a fat extension after this season. My respect for them has gone through the roof. These two individuals, especially this whole Hawks team, I've gained a lot of respect for, like Kevin Huerter, like John Collins. Clint Capella is really underrated, but they have been unbelievable. Nate McMillan has an unbelievable control over that locker room. Trae Young as well. He's a leader in that locker room, and I'm excited to see where this team goes, because I don't know I don't know any of their ages off the top of my head, but John Collins, Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, none of them are over 24, 25 years old. Clint Capella's 25 probably. This team's they're potential is through the roof. I hope that they continue to build there. A guy like Danilo Gallinari, a guy like Bogdanovich, they're great pieces. They're a little bit older, but those are really solid vets. Those are great shooters. Love to see how this team has come together and is really repping the city of Atlanta like none other. And I will say too, I saw this quote, man. It was John Collins, and he was saying, "Yo, when Kevin Huerter's on, we call him Kayvon. That's what we call him in Atlanta. He goes by Kayvon when he's hot." And this team loves each other. You can see it on the court. You can see it off the court. They're having so much fun, and I'm having so much fun watching them. Now, after saying all this, I still think the Bucks win in five. And I will say, I think that Bucks Suns is going to be a hell of a final. I think it's going to be a hell of a final. But before we talk about the potential of that, let's talk about the Suns. They're playing against the Clippers in game 6, and the Suns right now are up 3-2. Now, Kawhi Leonard has not played in the series. CP3 returned in game 3, but Kawhi hasn't been back. They keep just saying, "Oh, Kawhi's unavailable. Kawhi's unavailable." Can they just tell us what the actual injury is? What is the injury? Is it a torn ACL? Is it this? Is it that? I don't. It's a weird game that they're playing in Los Angeles right now. I'm not a fan of it. I would like to know what's going on with Kawhi. Real quick too, shout out Mike Breen, because in the last game, big shot gets hit for the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard sitting there stone face, and Mike Breen goes, "And Kawhi Leonard going crazy." As the fans are going crazy, Kawhi's doing nothing. I thought it was a fantastic moment for Mike Breen. The irony is hilarious. I love Mike Breen. But man, I'll tell you, my respect for Paul George. That's what has really changed in this series. Paul George has been phenomenal. In game 5, in a must-win game, you're down 3-1. It's an elimination game. You put up 41 points on 15 of 20 shooting, 75% from the field. Doesn't matter what the situation is. That is unbelievable. 13 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals. It kind of felt like the Clippers were up 10-12 this whole game. I know the Suns cut it down a few times, but Paul George had control of this game. He was playing unbelievable on both ends. Both teams were looking kind of tired, but Paul George, I mean, the playoff P nickname that he gave himself, I'm down with it now. I'm never in on self-anointed nicknames, but playoff P, man, if you go and put up 41, 13, 6 on 15 of 20 shooting, you can call yourself whatever you want. Must-win game. He showed up. As Joe said last week on the pod, you can win a championship with Paul George as your second best player. You absolutely can. I would love to see Kawhi come back. I just have this feeling he's not going to. But the way this team has stepped up with Reggie Jackson, with Terrence Mann, it's been awesome. And I will say too, Ty Lue, everyone thought that he was just a LeBron guy. Ty Lue has proven to be a phenomenal head coach. I hope that he's with the Clippers for a long time. Ty Lue is now 10-2 coaching in elimination games. 10-2. That is remarkably impressive. 5 out of 6 elimination games you win, 85%. I'll take that any day of the week and twice on Sundays. I'm all here for it. And moving on over to the Suns team. I'm amazed by this Suns team. I really am. CP, the point guard, Devin Booker, they're doing their thing. The role players fill in so well, and they work so well together. Another fantastic coach, Monty Williams, on the other side, on the other bench. But I will say DeAndre Ayton did not have a great game in game 5. And that was part of the reason that the Clippers could win that game. And I will say, Ayton, you need to come out and dominate game 6. You need to come out and dominate, because guess what? Serge Ibaka hasn't played in this series. And Zubac, who is super consistent, old, reliable, never misses a game, sprained MCL out of game 6. So DeAndre, they don't have their center, and they don't have their backup center. You need to go out. This needs to be the career-defining game for DeAndre Ayton. CP is going to do his thing. D Book's going to do his thing. Bridges is going to hit some shots. Saric is going to run around. But man, DeAndre Ayton, I need 30, 35 points. I need 15 rebounds. I might even need more than 15 rebounds. I might need what you were doing in that first round of the playoffs, man. And this has to be that career game for DeAndre Ayton. And this is game 6. So the Suns have 2 more chances to win it. I think the Suns are going through. It's so hard to come back from 3-1. It's been more and more, accessible these last couple of years. You see teams like the Nuggets do it against the Clippers. You see, obviously, LeBron's historic run, but the 3-1, it doesn't seem as insurmountable as it always has. But at the end of the day, I don't think that the Clippers can get this done without Kawhi Leonard. I think the Suns team, after 8-0 in the bubble, after getting the 2 seed, no one giving them any respect. We literally said on this podcast they're a dark horse. How do you say a dark horse is the number 2 seed? They've just been disrespected over and over again. I think they're getting to the finals. They've been a lot of fun, and I mean, who's not rooting for them? Who's not rooting for CP, the point guard, to get a championship at this point in his career? And I know I said it last week too, but I think that would catapult him into maybe top three. No, no, not top three, but top 5, 6 conversation for point guards all time. I think that he's absolutely up there. Um, and now moving on real quick, out of the 2 series here, I've picked the Bucks and I've picked the Suns. I think that's going to be an awesome finals matchup. I think it's a hell of a matchup, but I said it a few weeks ago on this podcast with Pat. If that was to happen, I don't think the Suns can win. I think that this Bucks team is just built to win. I think that they are built to last, and they've been so much healthier than every team in the league. They're kind of just missing Dante DiVincenzo. They missed Pat Connaughton for like 5 minutes when he got his, eyebrow cut open or whatever that was. But the thing is, who guards Giannis? You don't even you have no one that you can throw at Giannis. What are you going to do? DeAndre Ayton? No, you can't do that. Dario Saric? Not a chance. Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges? Or then who do you put on Chris Middleton? I think that Giannis is a walking 32-15 in that series in the finals, and I don't think there's anything you can do to stop it. And I will say too, I love the idea of Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton guarding CP and D Book. You think about size and length versus those two players. CP's what, 6 foot, 6'1", maybe, with the right pair of shoes on. Drew Holiday's 6'4", got the wingspan, one of the best defenders in the league, all defensive as always. And then on D Book, I'm looking at Chris Middleton to step up on defense. Chris Middleton's a very solid defender. He's long, he's 6'8". D Book's probably 6'5", 6'6". And again, I just think that defensive versatility is going to work magic against this team. And, unfortunately, I love this Suns team. I love what they're doing, but I don't think they have enough to beat the Bucks. If both teams get there, of course, there's a lot of basketball left to play before we get to that point of being, I'm just looking in the future at this point, but I think that it could be a very fun matchup. And, I said it last week as well. I know I keep saying that over and over. I said this last week, but this NBA postseason has been phenomenal. As a neutral basketball fan, of course, I'm not neutral. I'm a Celtics fan, but for all these teams, I don't care who wins. This has been so much fun to watch. The games have been crazy. Like we talked about, Trae Young, 48, Paul George, 41, D Book in the 40s, man, with no CP. It's been so much fun to watch. The league is in good hands with some of these young stars, and I'm excited for whatever the finals matchup is. Selfishly, I definitely hope it's Bucks Suns. Moving on, we talked about Team USA a little bit last week, Joe and I, so Harden's no longer on this roster, and Zach LaVine was added in his place, and then Jeremy Grant was the last addition. We were talking about them needing a big. I guess Jeremy Grant's that answer, even though he's a 4, kind of a 3 too. But Dame, Drew, Beal, Booker, LaVine, Middleton, Tatum, Durant, Draymond, Jeremy Grant, K-Love, and Bam. We're looking for a 4th consecutive gold. They have put together 3, gold medal performances in the last 3 Olympics. We're looking for a 4th. I think that this team is good enough to do it. I'm excited to see some of these guys show out on the international stage. And I'm excited for Tatum to do, just a little bit of recruiting, whether it's Dame, whether it's Bradley Beal, whether it's Zach LaVine. I'm looking for Tatum to work some magic here. I'm also looking for Jason to kind of cement and a international legacy, which I think would be really, really cool. He's already a young star in Boston. He's locked up for the next 5 seasons. So we're keeping him here, which is wonderful. But I'm looking for him to kind of cement himself on the international stage as well. And I think that he has the perfect opportunity to do that. I believe he wears 34 when he plays for the U.S. team. So shout out Paul Pierce and whatever he's up to right now, rocking that number 34. Last bit of basketball here, which I'm very excited about. Obviously, as a Celtics fan, there's been a lot of news these past couple of weeks. We got the Danny Ainge retirement. We got Brad moving to the front office. We got the Kemba for Al Horford trade, Brad's first move. And now we got Ime Udoka. I'm probably going to say it wrong a million times, but Ime Udoka hired as Boston's 18th head coach. there's no coincidence that we're looking for banner 18, and this man's going to be the one that brings it to us. I'm so excited about this signing. We needed a change. We needed a guy that can get into players, that can have control over the locker room. And Brad, he lost the locker room in the last couple of years. Now you bring in a 12-year professional basketball player in Udoka, who played 6 years in the pros. This man coached under Greg Popovich for 7 years before moving to become, higher up assistant coaches with both the Philadelphia 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets. Defense is a specialty, which I love. That's what we need. But he's also an offensive coach. And one thing, listening to some of the bits from his presser were awesome. He's sitting next to Brad Stevens and they're talking about, what are you going to do with this team? Blah, blah, blah. And he says, sorry, Brad, you're sitting right here, but this team was 27th in assists last year. We need to move the ball more. We need to play more team basketball. And that's what we need. We need a guy that is going to, find those pillars on both offense and defense and stick to them. He talked about how he would get into players. Like he's one of the guys that got into Kawhi Leonard and really told him, go take over. What are you waiting for? Your time is now. And he said, that's what I'm doing with Jalen and Jason. Sky's the limit with these two. And the fact that he's coming in with that attitude, the fact he said this is by far the most desirable coaching opening. And of course he's going to say that he took the job, right? But it really was. You have two young stars. You have a good, solid roster. And I'm really excited for what he can do with this team. People have laughed at me for saying this too, but one thing I think people are overlooking, my man's 6'7". I like a former player that can look his players in the eye. You look at Brad Stevens, looking up at Jason Tatum, looking up at Jaylen Brown. Man, he's gonna stare you in the eye, tell you what you're doing wrong, and try to push you to new levels, which I am super excited about. Now, of course, I gotta mention Jay Williams. I got Jay Williams, posts that Boston has hired their first black coach in the history of the Boston Celtics. Like Casey Jones, Bill Russell, ML Carr, Doc Rivers, Tom Sanders, like these men don't exist. Pretty bad flub up from Jay Williams, because now Boston has had the most black coaches in the history of the NBA. So pretty bad from Jay Williams. He said he got hacked. It was just a bad mistake. I wish he would own it. But yeah, man, Ime Udoka, super excited about this signing. I didn't know a lot about him beforehand, but it seems like all the right pieces are falling into place. And coach number 18, banner number 18. Let's hope there's something there. Oh, another point too that I forgot to mention. Ime coached Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart on the 2019 FIBA basketball roster. So there is a relationship there. He already knows these guys. He's coached them before. He already has the respect of your three most important players. You could argue, well, Rob could be more impactful than, Marcus Smart. Three best players on this team, most impactful right now: Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart. Already have a relationship with this guy. I think it's dope. I think it's important. And speaking of Jaylen Brown doing dope and important things, hanging out with Barack Obama over the weekend, Jaylen's doing it all. He really is. And gotta love Jaylen Brown. Gotta love the Celtics and what they're doing. Brad is hitting shot after shot after shot in this postseason. Let's keep it going. Let's hope we continue to add some new pieces to that coaching staff. Tough to see Jerome Allen go, but we got some good pieces on there, man. Moving on, people, let's get into some soccer, a little extra time. We just got to talk a little bit about the Euros. And as I'm saying this, Sweden and Ukraine are playing right now, and I think they're in extra time. So I just got to check. Ooh, 121st minute. Sweden's on a red card. Ukraine's got the advantage. So we'll save that matchup for last. Hopefully those penalties are over by the end of this recording so I can give some more predictions. But going to run through some of these games real quick. So Belgium, Portugal. Belgium ends up winning that game, and they're set to face the winner of Italy and, oh gosh, how do I not know that flag? It's not Switzerland. It's not Denmark. This is pretty bad. Oh, Austria. My bad, guys. I only got the flags up, so I don't have the names. Italy beats Austria. Austria's first ever Euro knockout stage appearance. First time they ever made it to the final 16. So we got Belgium, Italy, which is, that is a fantastic game. When you look at the teams that are left, I'm like, man, this is kind of who I want to see playing. And I gotta say, Italy has been in phenomenal form. They beat everyone, perfect games in the group stage. They handle Austria. Now, Belgium had a kind of a tough time with Portugal, and they got the early goal. But I will say, if Kevin De Bruyne is not healthy, I'm not picking Belgium. I will pick them if Kevin De Bruyne is starting in the midfield for Belgium. But man, he went out in the 47th minute with an injury, and they subbed in Dries Mertens. It's kind of weird to take out a midfielder and add a attacking forward in a game that you're winning. So it doesn't make much sense. But if you don't have KDB, the offense is completely stalled. There was no connecting play in midfield after he went out of the game. So I don't know if this team can handle Italy, that stout defense. It's a physical midfield. I don't know if they can handle Italy if they don't have KDB, especially in the midfield. That is the biggest thing. It's all the connecting play. So I'm rocking with Italy unless Kevin De Bruyne plays. If Kevin De Bruyne plays, I think Belgium wins. And that might sound a little crazy that one player could do this. Kevin De Bruyne is the best midfielder in the world. He's the best passer in the world. And if he's healthy and he's on, man, I'm seeing some Lukaku goals. Now, France, Switzerland, this game was crazy, guys. France is down 1-0. Switzerland has a penalty, chance to go up 2-0. Ricardo Rodriguez misses it. I don't like saying missed. Hugo Lloris saved it. But France then it goes up 3-1. Switzerland come back, man. They score 2 times, both after the 80th minute. Absolutely incredible scenes. And they end up going scoreless in extra time. But Switzerland win on penalties 5-4. Mbappe has Jan Sommer save the 5th penalty. And of course, Mbappe wants that. Mbappe is a world-class player, top 5 player in the world, probably. He wants that shot. He wants to be that last guy. And this is what happens. Wonder Boy at the World Cup, one of the top players in the world, and then at Euros, he's not doing too much. It ebbs and flows. This is a career arc. This is what happens. All the Mbappe hate needs to stop. Kid's so young. He's going to be incredible. But man, Switzerland's Cinderella story. Hard not to root for Switzerland after that game. And Spain beats Croatia. Another crazy game. I was watching these at work with two other coworkers. Man, we were going absolutely crazy. We're not actually getting to watch it, but you hear it behind you and you turn and you're like, oh my God, how did this happen? Spain beats Croatia 5-3 in an extra time game. Alvaro Morata, I'm sorry. I kept talking a bunch of trash about you. You scored 2 goals. You send your team through to the final 8. It's pretty impressive. Now we got Wales and Denmark. That was the first game. Denmark rocks. Ooh, I didn't even go through that matchup. Hold on, let me go back. Spain, Switzerland. It's hard not to root for Switzerland. You want the underdog to win. And I mean, they're going to be flying high, especially the confidence that they're going to have after beating France, the 2018 World Cup winners. They're going to be flying high. I still think Spain's better. I don't trust Spain right now. I don't trust this team, especially when you're not starting Thiago in your midfield. I mean, come on. But I think that Spain handles this. So that means I got Spain and Belgium probably in that Final Four, which would be a hell of a game. And now we're going to go back to that game that I had mentioned. So Denmark beats Wales 4-0 to start the round of 16. And I got to tell you, man, who's not rooting for Denmark? This is the team that I want to win it all. Win it for Christian Eriksen. This is so cool. And they're going to be playing the Czech Republic in that final 8. And the Czech Republic beat Netherlands. I mean, that kind of shocked everyone. That absolutely shocked everyone. The Czech Republic are doing some pretty cool things. Patrick Schick, Thomas Souček, they have some great players on that team. I didn't think they beat the Netherlands. Frank de Boer out as Netherlands manager after that game. And I mean, I actually tweeted it back at Fabrizio when he tweeted out, but I'm like, man, this dude couldn't manage Atlanta United in the MLS. Why would we give him Holland? How does he get the Holland national team or the Dutch national team? This is ridiculous. It never should have happened. I don't want to blame him entirely for this loss, but this was not a good move by the Dutch to hire him. And I think Netherlands should be a lot better. I think they will be a lot better, especially when they get Virgil van Dijk back. De Ligt got a red card, so they were playing down. But there's better things in store for this Dutch national team. I think that there absolutely is. Then we got Denmark, Czech Republic. I want Denmark to win it. Who knows what's going to happen there? Excited for those games for sure. Then the game of the round is absolutely England, Germany. England win it today 2-0. They beat Germany. You got a goal from Raheem Sterling. You got a goal from Harry Kane. 2 players that desperately needed goals. They needed to score some international goals. They had not been on. Sterling 1 goal in his last 16 games for Manchester City to end the year. Kane has not been doing it. I don't like seeing him with that captain's armband as a Liverpool fan. I want Hendo to have it. But Harry Kane gets a nice goal, great feed from Jack Grealish. Germany were playing sloppy. Timo Werner had a fantastic chance that he missed. No surprise there. That's what Timo Werner does now. And Thomas Mueller, shocked by his miss. But unfortunately, England go through, and now we gotta listen to all the England fans be happy about it. England is now going to be playing Ukraine. Ukraine in the 121st minute. This is like live news for me right now. In the 121st minute, they score and they beat Sweden 2-1. I like seeing Zinchenko get a goal. You love seeing a defender get a goal for Ukraine. But Ukraine go through. So now it's Ukraine versus England. I mean, England's the clear favorite there. I think that they should win that game. I think that they will win that game. And I mean, man, these Euros have been so much fun. This is like my first Euros as a real soccer fan. I like passively saw some in 2016 and like kind of kept up with it, but like I've really dove in over the past few years, and this has been so much fun to watch. I'm absolutely loving it. Hopefully, you guys are too. It's so amazing seeing these crowds, seeing 40, 50,000 people cheering, crying, screaming. It's just so good to have it back. The power of sports, man, the power of sports and community and how it brings people together. It is absolutely amazing. I'm so thrilled about it. Now, I feel like I'm flying through the show. I told you guys it was going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, but now we're going to get on to some listener questions already, before we get on to what we've learned and kind of wrap the show up a little bit. But we got some fun listener questions this week. So we got my boy Brett. Always submit questions. I appreciate you, Brett. Why does Giannis get so much hate? Now, Brett, you know the answer to this question. It's because he's great. That's what it is. I mean, Giannis, people are going to hate him because that's what Twitter does. That's what social media does. I mean, I think that part of it is just because he doesn't shoot, and that's what the NBA is now, and people don't like seeing people that can't shoot. But this man is a walking 38, 10, and 5. He is one of 6 players ever to lead his team in all 5 stats: points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks for a full season. He's one of a few players all time that have an MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year. That list is Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Which, I mean, this guy's all time great. I mean, he's going to be the only player other than Larry Bird to average 20, 10, and 5 for a career. This guy's unbelievable. I think that he's next level. I think that he's going to be an all time great. And I think when you have 2 MVPs, you have a Defensive Player of the Year, and I think he's going to win a championship this year. Now you're getting into those all-time conversations, So I think that Giannis gets so much hate just because he doesn't shoot. He's not a great dribbler, but it doesn't matter when you go out and dominate a game. People don't like seeing a skinny Shaq, man. I mean, what can't this guy do? He's phenomenal. He dominates the game inside and out, and they've built an awesome team around him. Middleton is a perfect number 2. Drew is a perfect number 3. PJ Tucker was an awesome ad. I love this team, and I love what Giannis is doing. Gets a lot of hate, but I don't think he should. I'm with you, Brett. From my brother Nick Hutchison, the book thinker himself. Will Mac Jones win 10 games? I don't know if Mac Jones is starting, so I don't know if he gets the chance to win 10 games. But I think that whoever is the quarterback wins 10 games. I think that now we have a 17-game season. I think we were 7-9 last year without a legit quarterback. Cam got COVID. It was a bad season. So many injuries, most opt-outs in the league. Now we had this crazy offseason where we signed everybody and their mother. I mean, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Matt Judon, the list goes on and on. I'm going to miss you, Joe Tooney, though. It's going to be tough seeing him on the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think whether it's Cam Newton that starts, I think whether it's Mac Jones that starts, I think that this team wins 10 games. Absolutely. I would love to see it be Mac. Kind of one of those, let's just dive in. Let's get the young guys in kind of guy. Probably played too much Madden. That's why I get the young guys in. But I think whoever starts for this team wins 10 games without a doubt. Keegan Nutt, England versus Germany. Whoever wins this game has a great shot at winning the Euros. I think it's just one of my opinion on there a little bit. And it's true. It's true. England has a fantastic shot. I mean, they're going to be playing the winner of the Czech Republic and Denmark. England should absolutely be favored. Again, they got to get through Ukraine first, but they should absolutely be favored. They're one of the top 4 teams left in here. I would say Spain, Italy, Belgium, and England are the best 4 left. But the other 3 are on the other side of the bracket. So England should be in the championship. They have a legit shot of winning the Euros and bringing it back home. They haven't beat Germany in an international match since like 66 or something. So this was a huge win. I think that they believe. I think that they think that they're the Cinderella here. So yeah, no, not I'm with you, man. They have an awesome shot at winning the Euros, and it's unfortunate to see. It's unfortunate to see. I don't want to see England win. Josie, my girl Josie, one of my best friends forever, sent in a question. She said, "Oh, yeah, y'all might have already talked about this, but talk about the participation trophy generation." And I'd love to hear Pat's thoughts on this. I wish he was here with me. Miss you, Pat. But I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a participation trophy guy. I mean, if I point this camera up right now, the audio listeners won't know. Look at all those participation trophies. Those are like what, me in the sixth grade playing baseball and getting a trophy just for playing. But I don't like it. I don't think you should reward mediocrity. Look, I can't even say it, man. That's a tough time to flub up on a word like that. But I'm not a fan of it at all. I think you have to work for your meals. And I mean, we do live in a bit of a society where you do a little bit of work and expect great results, and that's just not how it works. I watched this clip of Michael Phelps talking about how he trained 365 years a day for 5 straight years. He said, I didn't take a single day off for 5 straight years of training. And he said, guess what? That gives me 52 days more per year than all my other competitors. That's a big advantage. And guess what? Over 5 years, that's 250 days of extra training. So, I think that you have to put the work in. I think that it's okay to lose. I think that it's a part of life. And yeah, no, I'm not a fan of the participation trophy generation. Not at all, Josie, but you're a much nicer person than me. So you might be a bit more of a fan of it than I am. Joe Braverman, as always, let me speak. Let me speak official on IG. Go check out his podcast. Are the Yanks in trouble after being swept by Boston this weekend? How good is that to see? So right now, believe it or not, the Yankees are fourth in the AL East. The Sox are first. Love to see it. Best team in baseball. Definitely not. We can't pitch. But I think the Yankees are legitimately in trouble. There's so much baseball left to play. We got half the season left. But I think the Yanks could be in trouble, and especially if Garrett Cole can't pitch without any stickum or spider tack or whatever he was using, sunscreen and whatever weird oils and stuff. I think there's legit cause for concern, especially when you pay players the amount of money that they're paying guys. When you look at Stanton's contract, when you look at Garrett Cole's contract, I could go down a laundry list of guys with the Yankees. They're probably still paying A-Rod and Jeter at this point. But I think that the Yankees are in some legit trouble. But again, all it takes is a 4-game series to get right back, right? All it takes is rattling off 6 wins, sweeping someone, then splitting with someone else. So there's potential for them to get back in it, but it's not looking good. They're 8 games behind the Red Sox right now, or 7.5. Ooh, let's say it again. The Red Sox are 7.5 games clear of the New York Yankees. I don't even care that the Rays are a game back on us right now. I'm just ecstatic that the Yankees are losing. I need to go back and find that "Did the Yankees lose" page. They tweet out every time the Yankees lose, and just that clip of David Ortiz. And Yankees lose. One of the best clips. Shout out Big Poppy. But yes, Joe, I do think that they could potentially be in some trouble. Now, Ryan Adams submitted maybe the second strangest listener question we've had on 27 episodes of Right Off the Bus. And I think we only started doing listener questions after like maybe 7-10 episodes, something like that. First, Danny Coakley, you still have it, buddy. You still have Rob Will or Prime Stephen Hawking. Still don't know what that means. Still got to get you on the pod to talk about it. But Ryan Adams asks, who wins? A lineup of 2 foot tall LeBrons, which I would assume is 5 of them. LeBron's a basketball player. 2 foot tall LeBrons, or a single 8 foot tall LeBron. I think it's the 8 foot tall LeBron. I mean, I guess that the 2 foot tall LeBrons would still have an unbelievable passing ability, and I think they'd still be able to shoot and get up the court. But can you stop LeBron, an 8 foot tall LeBron, from scoring every time? I don't think so. I think I'd rock with the 8 foot tall LeBron. If we shrink it down to maybe like a 6 foot tall, I don't know. This is one we're gonna have to bring this up next week with Pat. Got to get his perspective on this one. Oh man! All right, so I feel like I'm kind of flying through the show, guys. I don't know how long it's been, but like I said, it's going to be a bit of a shorter show. So as we keep on moving, we're going to wrap up the show, and I'm gonna read this little ad from Book Thinkers, as we always do, before we get into what we've learned. And unfortunately, this week is just what I've learned. There's no we here. Should have got a co-host, but felt like Pat did a solo episode. Felt like I had to do a solo episode, So as always, if you read personal development books, you got to go check out Book Thinkers. This company is helping you. Excuse me, little cough there. This company is dedicated to helping you fulfill your life through books every single day. On Instagram, they post every single day. Every week on their podcast, they have a top author in the space of nonfiction and personal development. And this team over at Book Thinkers, they're trying to help you discover new books and new mentors that can help you achieve more and live better. And as you guys know, the right book can absolutely change your life if you read at the right time. So please head on over to Instagram, type in Book Thinkers, go to bookthinkers.com, search Book Thinkers Life Changing Podcast on any of your podcast platforms. Please check them out. This team's working so hard and they have a great message and great cause. So shout out Book Thinkers. Now we're going to get on to what I've learned. Still doesn't sound right. It's been 27 weeks or 26 weeks of what we've learned. But I just wanted to share a story that I didn't know about till, I'm listening to the Rich Roll podcast. So Rich Roll, one of my favorite podcasts, ultra endurance athlete, triathlons, ultra marathons, has one of the best podcasts out there about health, fitness, all this stuff, has really interesting people on all the time. He has Mary Kane on. Mary Kane was the fastest girl in the United States at a point. She was on her way to Olympic stardom, like breaking world records when she's like 16, doing some really amazing stuff. And when she was 17, she moved to Oregon and went to the Nike Pro facility and started working with all the top people in the space. Alberto Salazar is running this program, marathon winner, like a 2:16 marathon guy, craziness. And she just got absolutely emotionally and physically abused there. She was 120 pounds. She's 17. She's 120 pounds. And she's being told she has to cut weight, that she has to get down to 130 pounds, that she doesn't look athletic. She's the fastest girl in the world. She's qualifying for everything. She's dominating her space. And they're shaming her. They're not caring about her mental health. They only care about her splits and the number on the scale. And I mean, I can't even imagine the damage that could do to a 17-year-old, regardless of the fact she's a girl. You having some of the top people in their space telling you, no, you need to cut weight. You can't do this. You can't do this. She was harming herself. She was cutting herself. She was hitting herself. And they told her, oh, we're tired. We can't deal with this right now. Stop, like grow up, be a professional, and just gave her absolutely no support. And it was just a scary story to learn about. And, sorry to end the show on a bad note, but I mean, for what I've learned this week, it's just we need to be more aware of mental health in sports. And I mean, when you have a 17-year-old girl competing at the highest place that she possibly could, and you have just all these horrible people telling her these horrible things, not caring about her health, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, couldn't care less about any of them, just the number that's on the scale and her race times. It's scary. You hope that things continue to change, but I haven't finished the full podcast, but fantastic podcast. Check out Mary Kane. Type in Mary Kane New York Times interview or article. She puts out a 7-minute video explaining it. It's really powerful, really passionate. And that's what I've learned this week, that we just need to continue to monitor mental health in sports, because stories like this are not few and far between. They happen all the time, unfortunately. And it is scary. It absolutely is scary. Now, unfortunately, we ended the show on kind of a sour note there, but I think it is important to talk about. As always, guys, thank you for listening. I know this was a short episode, and maybe we'll get a couple more listens because people don't want to listen to Pat and I jab for 20 or for an hour and a half. But it is so much fun doing this. I hope you guys enjoyed the solo episode. I hope that it went all right. I know I had a few gaffes here and there, but I don't think anyone minds. A little more authentic that way. But just thank you for all the support, guys. I posted a clip about it today on our socials, but we do really appreciate all the support. We don't have a crazy number of followers. We don't have a crazy number of listens. We don't have anything like that going on, but those who listen, enjoy it. They like the show. We really love and appreciate you guys submitting questions, commenting on our posts, liking them, sharing them, all this stuff. It's been such a gratifying experience. And as I always say, we do not take your attention for granted one bit. We know that it's not easy to get into that podcast rotation, and it's not easy to, take an hour out of your week, an hour and a half out of your week to spend with us. So hopefully you enjoy this podcast as much as we do. We appreciate you so much. We don't take your time for granted. Thank you for all the love and support. And that's wrapping up episode number 27. Next week, we're going to have Pat back, and we have a couple guests lined up, which is awesome. We've been slacking on it, but we're bringing some really interesting people on in the next few weeks. Got a couple authors to talk to. So, you know, get ready, guys. Get ready. It's going to be fun. And yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up because I'm just gonna continue going and continue to say thanks. So thanks again, guys. We really love and appreciate it. That's the show, episode 27. Peace.